Started working on the prototype for Hirewire, launched their first beta in Atlanta in early 2016, grew that very rapidly. I think he said about 2,000 employers that got on the platform, over 100,000 people looking for jobs, of which they placed 20,000 into a new job. They're now scaling. They've turned on revenue. He's thinking here shortly they'll be doing about $200,000 in monthly recurring revenue because restaurants or other employers pay them $50 per month, up to $100 per month, depending on how many folks they want to hire and how quickly they want to do it. $4.1 million raised again, team of 18 based out there in Atlanta.
This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million. He is hell-bent on global domination. We just broke our 100,000 unit sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka. This is episode 740. Be sure to tune in tomorrow morning where you'll hear from Todd Johnson, who tells us how he sold his company for $15 million. And now he's tackling healthcare patient-doctor relationships. Hello, everybody. My guest today is Chau. He's the founder and CEO of a company called Hirewire, an on-demand hiring app for hourly workers. In his previous venture, he hired over 20,000 people and quickly realized the hiring process was broken and ripe for disruption. He launched Hirewire in 2015 and has raised $4.1 million in funding to solve this problem. Chau, are you ready to take us to the top?
I'm ready.
Where were you working where you hired 20,000 people?
Yes,
McDonald's or?
Yeah, not quite, but close. I was in my previous venture. It was called Campus Special, and we were an online food ordering deals platform for college kids. And so we were in 165 cities. We had 500 colleges, and we had 4,000 sales reps that would go meet with the merchants. And we had about 15,000 street teamers that would go promote our products on campus. So we had to hire every single one of those people. And so I had that company for about 8.5 years and sold it to a public company a couple of years ago. And so in that process, I just learned what it was like to source candidates, interview, screen, hire. And it was quite a process, a very broken process. So
when did you launch that company? How old were you?
I was 25 at the time, launched at my dining room table. That was 2005.
That's amazing. Okay, so what are you today?
I am 36.
36. That's great. So you built that company for 8 years. We won't go too deep into it, but generally speaking, I mean, what did you grow it to? We have an employee count. What were you doing in terms of, I guess, revenue the year you sold it?
Yeah, we're doing about 15 million in revenue.
Okay.
And employee headcount in the 40s.
And I imagine your biggest cost there, obviously, there's a lot of headcount there. I mean, was it a profitable business or is that why you sold it?
It actually was. So that was a bootstrap company. So we didn't raise any capital. And we were one of the fastest growing companies for 4 consecutive years through Inc. magazine. And it was actually a very profitable business. So, which is really interesting because we built that. We never had any investors, never had to worry about cash, and sold it.
What'd you sell it for?
It was about 25 million.
Okay. Yeah. And how'd you negotiate the price based on 15 million top line?
Yeah. So really it was kind of an interesting time where I think growth was a bigger deal than revenue. So we had strong revenue growth. We had strong EBITDA and great margins, but no one cared about that at the time. So that was 2013 when we were in the process. So yeah, it was really just what the buyer was willing to pay and what the seller was willing to sell at.
Did you feel depressed after you sold your baby?
It was bittersweet. I mean, you wake up every day obsessing and just worrying and working hard at something for almost a decade, and then one day it's just not yours anymore. So it was bittersweet, but I was really proud to have built it up and served a lot of customers. And so it was, it was a proud moment.
You're making my audience hate you. They're going, he can't be depressed. He just basically put $25 million in his bank account. He's not allowed to be upset.
Right. Yeah.
Did you obviously didn't have investors. Did you have kind of an equity pool that you gave your kind of leadership team, or did you own 100% of the company when you sold it?
I own 100% of the company, and that business was, it was a lifestyle business turned into a technology, fast growing startup. It was just one of those things where I didn't have a plan, and one day I woke up and I had a great business, and we doubled down, worked really hard, and grew, and and we attracted acquirers.
That's great.
Yeah. So it was a good first kind of warm up, and now I'm in my second venture.
That's very cool. Okay, so let's talk about Hirewire, which is the new venture. So did you launch this immediately, or did you wait a year or two?
Yeah, I waited. Well, I stayed on board for about a year with my acquirer.
I bet that was painful.
Yeah, it is painful in that it's hard to go from being, your CEO, you're calling all the shots, you're nimble, you're fast, and then you become part of a bigger organization. Definitely learned a lot of things while I was there, but I always had the itch, obviously, to go out and do my, next thing. So I took almost a year off and spent a lot of time that time thinking about what am I good at that is a problem that needs to be solved, where I could leverage my past experience and not start from scratch. Mm-hmm. And so because I'd done so much hiring and I was very comfortable building technology products and acquiring and building local marketplaces, it really made sense to go after the hiring problem. Specifically, though, at the hourly level, where it's high turnover, kind of entry level, wage earners that make up like 77 million people in the U.S. And so when this concept popped up, I just fell in love with it more and more, and then I just couldn't resist, and so pulled the trigger about a year and a half ago. You
raised capital. Why are you going a different route this time?
Yeah, it's funny because when you build a bootstrap company and then you go out and you raise capital, you see the stark differences, right? So with this business, we felt that we, out the gate, really needed to invest heavily in the product and technology. And so we needed a great engineering team. And we raised it before we even had a prototype. So $2 million to start, and then an additional $2 million last year. So about $4 million so far.
On the initial, would you do a note or a priced equity round?
Convertible note on both.
Okay, got it. So you have not had a priced equity round, just caps on the notes.
That's right.
Got it. And so how do you make money on this thing?
How do
you make money? Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially Hirewire is a marketplace where job seekers and employers can connect, and it's really mobile first. So they're using their mobile device to speed up that process. And you can kind of think of it like a Tinder/Uber for jobs, in that, there's pictures, there's video, there's chatting, and, our next release is really focused on on-demand hiring. And so think about it this way: as an employer, if I have a need for, let's say I'm a restaurant, which is one of our big industry focuses, if I'm a restaurant manager and I need to hire somebody, I can basically select who I need to hire, when I can interview, and we push candidates to them immediately. And we get paid based on a membership, so they pay a monthly subscription.
Who, the people looking to hire, or the restaurant owner?
The employer. And then the job seekers is free for them to find a job.
Okay, so defining this marketplace in terms of buyers and sellers, your sellers are the job seekers selling their services. The restaurant owner is the buyer looking to hire the job seeker.
You got it.
Okay, and so do you take a cut, like a salary or anything like that, or it's a flat fee to the restaurant owner?
Yeah, it's we don't take a cut, so we're not really like a staffing agency model. We are really a marketplace model where they're paying to get access to these candidates and paying a membership fee.
Okay, now, do they pay as they go? What if someone says I want one candidate versus someone that says I want 1,000 candidates? They pay the same flat fee?
No, they can pay as they go too. So,
okay.
So let's say you're a small operation and you don't really need to hire a lot of people and you only use it a few times a year. You can do a pay-as-you-go model, and then there's different tiers. So, your McDonald's, for example, who has 200% turnover, is hiring almost every day. Those guys would have a different tier where they could have 50 hires a month or 100 hires a month.
What's your core business? I mean, like a key feature of a SaaS business is predictable revenue. Do you have predictable revenue, or is this truly pay-as-you-go? The restaurant owner opens a thing, they hire 5 people, then they stop using you.
Yeah, I would say that our core customer base are recurring users who have a constant need, and we're focused on the restaurant industry because it has the highest turnover. So
that's good for you.
Yeah, so that revolving door means that they have this need that comes up almost every other day or weekly. And so I would say that it is very predictable, and for the most part, our core customers, they're using it on a weekly, monthly basis.
What do they pay you on average per month, the average restaurant owner?
Yeah, we charge per location per month, so that ranges from $50 to $100 per location per month, depending on usage.
Okay, got it. And usage is specifically how many hires at the location?
You got it.
Okay, so 50 to 100 again per location. And when you're selling into something like a big chain, are they? I mean, do you do that, or do you go kind of restaurant by restaurant?
Yeah, we do both. I would say we're really focused on building it at a local level, but we definitely sign national accounts. Mm-hmm. And usually those guys do a license kind of deal where, when they have 500,000 locations, and kind of a break.
And kind of switching back to the marketplace for a second. So on each end of this, right, supply demand, like how many job seekers do you have, and how many people hiring do you have on the platform?
Yeah, I'll give you this data. So we first launched in Atlanta, which was our test market. We did that. We were in beta for a year. And so in that time, we went from launching with nothing, chicken and egg problem, right?
2015, right?
It was actually January 2016.
Okay.
And we had no job seekers, no employers. So we had to go out and build this two-sided marketplace, which is very hard to do. Not only is it a two-sided marketplace, it's also a very local marketplace, right? So the job seekers need to be near the employers for it to work out. So we, in 1 year in Atlanta, got over 4,000 employers to sign up and accumulated over 100,000 job seekers and got 20,000 people hired. So that was pretty good,
Just in Atlanta.
Yeah, just in Atlanta.
So Colin, that's like not like you stumbling into something lucky. I mean, those are incredible numbers. I mean, did you use the same game plan you used at your first company, or what?
Yeah, so that was one of the helpful things. So having built two-sided local marketplaces, when we understood the whole liquidity balance and low-cost acquisition, I think, though, there are really two drivers that really allowed us to grow that quickly. One is that we were hitting a pain point that was number one on their list. So if you're a restaurant manager, operator, or you're hiring hourly people, it's a very, very painful thing to go through this hiring process. So they're generally using Craigslist or, job boards. And so when you show them a more modern, faster, easier way, they're very, very interested in trying it. And so that allowed us to grow pretty quickly.
And is that still where you're at in terms of numbers wise, about 2,000 buyers, 100,000 sellers?
Well, since then, we've launched to multiple cities. And so that's a new thing. We just did that last month. And so ask me again in a few months. But
it's fair to say are your numbers basically the same since you just launched these new spots?
Yep, yeah, roughly, I would say, yeah. And then the key is that over half of our user base is organic, right? So think about how the normal job hunting process goes, creating a resume, walking around, passing it out, filling out online applications, and now you just download an app, create a profile, and get like 5 job offers within 24 hours. Like that's really fueled the fire for organic growth. And so both sides of our market is growing very rapidly just from word of mouth.
Yep. I mean, can I do the math? You said you had 2,000 buyers. Are those companies, or are those the actual locations of the companies?
Yeah. Locations wise, we have, hiring managers, we have about 5,000 ish, and locations, we have about 4,000.
Okay. So some hiring managers were working on average 1.2 locations.
Yep. Or you may have 2 hiring managers, like front of the house, back of the house, kitchen manager, GM per location. Got
it. And so you mentioned earlier, you said your ARPU per location is between 50 and 100. Can I just do 4,000 times 50 and assume you're doing more than 200 grand in MRR?
Yeah, I would say, we actually just launched our monetization, so it's below that. But I think that by end of the year, we'll be on track.
Yeah. You do have paying customers though, right, today?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're just so is the reason that ARPU number is wrong is because 50 to 100 is what you're signing new people up at now, but historically you have people paying maybe lower than that because you were testing pricing?
Yeah, we've been testing pricing, and we're still testing pricing. And a lot of the monetization just started happening a couple months ago.
Yeah. So what do you see? And then, so back to kind of like the churn thing, which I'm very curious about, right? So let's assume just think only about the SaaS side of the business for a second. I mean, do you see high gross customer churn per month? Like once people are done hiring, if the hires are good hires, they stay a while, right?
Yeah, you would think that, but because our focus is the restaurant business, it is just super high churn on their end, right? So to give you an idea, a restaurant churn could be 100 to 200%. So imagine losing your entire team not once but twice. So
what if they blame you for that though, right? What if they go, oh, it's because I'm using these people from Hirewire. Like if I go hire a real recruiting person, I won't have to replace people every 2 months.
Right. Before we launched, we were really afraid that would happen. But we found that, we don't think we're causing more churn to happen. We just think that we're an easier, faster way for both sides to find a job or fill a position when they do need to hire. We haven't heard a lot of pushback, and we've been out in the market now for over a year. And so I don't think that I think ultimately people will stay where they're happy, where they're making good money, and it's a good environment to work in. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to think that we're not causing that churn.
So what is your gross customer churn per month?
Yeah, I would say we're retaining like 95+% of
monthly.
customer monthly. Yeah.
Okay, so about 5% monthly churn, which is, I mean, that's not bad.
That's about 4%. And just having launched monetization, I think is pretty solid. But our goal is to get it down to like 2% or 1%.
Of course, yeah. And then where are you at today in terms of team size?
Yeah, team size, we're right about 15 people, plus or minus.
Okay.
We try to run it pretty lean. And
based where? Atlanta?
Yeah, we are in Atlanta.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Very cool. And then have you, obviously you've raised some capital, you're just starting monetization, so you might not have some of this data or this cohort yet, but are you doing any paid acquisition?
Yeah, we do paid acquisition. Yep.
Okay. And so like, what do you spend an average month on paid acquisition?
It depends. On the job seeker side, it could be, so 50% of our job seekers are organic, so we don't have to pay anything for those guys. But, we've used, with great success, social methods to drive users. And, we spend anywhere, depending on the month, depending on the seasonality, from like 10 to 25,000 per month.
Across different channels.
Yep.
Great. Okay, cool. And then, look, last question here. Do you have any weird, I've had a lot of people on that are kind of marrying this marketplace model plus SaaS. Mm-hmm. I just had a company on actually that does this in the freight world. It's called Freightos. I don't know if you've heard of them, but like they have a SaaS product that helps people find cargo containers to ship the items they just sold. But then they also put a marketplace on that, and the SaaS problem solved the chicken and egg problem of the marketplace. Do you see these dynamics playing out in your business?
Yeah, I do actually. In the employer's eyes, they're basically paying a fee to have the software, right? That's going to help them solve their hiring problem.
They're paying you to join your marketplace. That's just good.
Yeah.
Good.
Right. And then on the other side, though, we have to build up this liquidity of job seekers, right? So it really is like SaaS meets a marketplace play. But yeah, I think in our business, our goal is we want super sticky high retention on the employer side. With the job seeker, they come and go, right? If we do our job properly, the job seeker comes in, uses our app, gets hired, and they come back 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later. But I would say it's a nice blend. So we're having to use playbook of a SaaS playbook, but also consumer marketplace, two-sided consumer marketplace playbook.
Yeah, a two-sided free consumer marketplace thing. You're not making money on a cut or anything, right?
Right. Today we are. Yep.
What do you tell? What's your cut?
On the job seeker side, we're not making money. I thought that was your question.
On the what cut are you making on the other side?
There isn't a cut.
Oh yeah. So you're not making money on the marketplace aspect.
Yes.
Yeah, just the SaaS aspect. Many of you listening right now don't have time to listen to every B2B SaaS CEO that I've interviewed. If you want to get access to the database I've created with year-over-year growth rates, customer accounts, margins, and many, many other data metrics and data points, you can go to getlatka.com. Here's the thing, though. That database, I keep it to myself. It's so freaking valuable. And to preserve the quality of the data and make sure that the people that have access to it have a true advantage, I'm only letting 10 companies on each month. So we're full this month, but you can go to getlatka.com to get on the waiting list for next month. And look, there's big people on the waiting list. I mean, the biggest VCs you've ever heard of. You've probably heard of them. They're big, private equity, billions and billions under management. So it's an impressive waiting list. Go get on now at getlatka.com. Many of you know I am buying companies that I really, really like, and there's no quicker way for me to get to the bottom of what is happening on that website than using this tool called nathanlatka.com/hotjar, HOTJAR. It basically will give me a recording, okay? When anybody lands on the website, it'll give me a recording of where the viewer is scrolling, and obviously does the basic stuff like heat maps too, but I learned so much about where the users are scrolling and clicking on my site using that tool. It helps me increase conversion rates, make more money, and grow those businesses faster. And we'll have to see what happens with those businesses, but I'm buying them very quick, and I'm using nathanlatka.com/hotjar for all of my website analytics. You can too. I work with them. It's totally free. You can go to nathanlatka.com/hotjar. No credit card required. Again, use it as much as you want. nathanlatka.com/hotjar. I'll see you there. All right, good. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
Favorite business book? This one is used a lot, but I really like Jim Collins' Good to Great. It's just solid, and there's not a day I wake up or go in the office and I don't think about those concepts, so that's a good one.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying currently?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2. I'm very big on Elon Musk. everything he does. And then he's not a CEO right now, but Reid Hoffman, just incredible stuff that he puts out there, very relevant to what we're building.
Number 3, is there a favorite online tool you have, like QD scheduling?
Online tool. Yeah, this might be a cop-out, but Slack. I mean, I'm obsessed with it, and we communicate with it and do everything on it. So, yeah.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Yeah, not enough. I'm probably on average about 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so something like that. Yeah.
And what's your situation? Married, single, do you have kids?
Yeah, married with 2 kids.
Wow.
8 and 10. So
And you're getting, yeah, wow, okay. Maybe that's why you're getting 5 hours, right?
that's why I'm not sleeping much. Yeah.
Yeah. And then how old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay, so last question, Chau. Take us home. Take us back 16 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Oh, man. At the age of 20, I was still kind of in that phase where I wasn't that serious about anything. You know, I was still a kid. And at the age of 21, I got my first sales job. And that changed my life because what I realized was the harder I worked, the more money I made because I got paid commission. And that really kicked off my entire career because I became this like kind of do the bare minimum kind of guy, college student, to really working hard, working late, you know, first one in, last one out, working weekends.
What would the lesson be though, right? So what was one lesson you'd give your 20-year-old self?
Is that there is no replacement for hard work. And if you put your nose to the grindstone and you just absolutely attack it and kill it and push it every day, good, amazing things happen.
There you guys have it. There's no substitute for hard work. About, what is this? About 11 or 12 years ago, he launched his first company, hustled when he was 25, hustled in that for about 8 years, grew it to $15 million top line, sold it for $25 million, owned 100% of it. That was back in 2014. Then 2015, started working on the prototype for Hirewire, launched their first beta in Atlanta in early 2016, grew that very rapidly. I think he said about 2,000 employers that got on the platform, over 100,000 people looking for jobs, of which they placed 20,000 into a new job. They're now scaling. They've turned on revenue. He's thinking here shortly they'll be doing about $200,000 in monthly recurring revenue because restaurants or other employers pay them $50 per month up to $100 per month, depending on how many folks they want to hire and how quickly they want to do it. $4.1 million raised again, team of 18 based out there in Atlanta. Chau, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed today's episode with Chau, go back and listen to Matilda yesterday, where she'll break down how she has 3x her monthly recurring revenue to $700,000 in under 11 months. She's a winner. She's growing very fast. Learn how she did it.